Good afternoon. We want to welcome you specially to this great occasion, which happens to be the union for the class of Political Science and Public Administration, set of 2004. And from all you are here for this occasion, I would like to crave your indulgence. We are supposed to have started before now.
Go ahead.
We are supposed to have started before now, but due to other logistics and other things, we are starting by this time. So please, I want to beg on us that you should please pardon us for that. Without wasting much time, I would like to acknowledge our guests, dignitaries that are attending this reunion. First on my list, we have Professor Ibrahim Umara. Please pardon me the way I pronounce your name. Godum Bali, Political Science Department, Unimaid. Please a round of applause for him. You are welcome, sir.
He's not here.
Okay, he's not here. Okay, we are going to recognize him in absentia. We also want to recognize the presence of Professor Abdul Hamid Uzohu Suleima from the Department of Public Administration, University of Abuja. You are welcome, sir. We also want to recognize Her Excellency Hajia Hafsat Korele Buni, the First Lady of Yobe State. She is a member of the class. We also recognize her presence, even though she is not here. Also, we have Mr. Tahir Mustafa, Chief of Protocol Officer to His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He is also a member of the class. We also want to recognize Mr. Hamisu Medogu. You are welcome, sir. Also on my list is Mrs. Tosin Shoga. You are welcome. We also want to recognize Hajia Hawa Idi Jemet. We also want to recognize Professor Shehu Musa Liberty, Dean, Management Sciences. Okay, Mustafa, Dean, Management Sciences and Director of Partnership, Linkages and Alumni. You are welcome, sir, from the University of Maiduguri. Also on my list is Professor Musa Mohammed from the University of Maiduguri. You are also welcome. And all other members of the class of 2004. Forward. The one coming forward. No, it's not the one. Is he around for the opening prayer? Please. Okay, if he's not here, please any Muslim can just let's assist us with the opening prayer so that we can go ahead. I'm sure Mohammed should be on his way.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We are going to go on. Before we continue, please permit me to recognize Mr. Suleiman Musa. He is the SA to the DGFRCN and is representing the DGFRCN. Please let us appreciate him. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. Okay, next we are to take the national anthem. Yes, the new national anthem. Please,
Are you not a Nigerian? Are you a foreigner?
Thank you. We can have our seat now. Thank you very much. Yes, this is our old new national anthem, which, because a lot of things, we have a lot of things to bother in this country, not national anthem. So that's why I'm using saying 5 years. So I want to welcome all of us in a special way, most especially our professors. Whenever I attend an occasion and we have professors in our midst, I feel so honored and special because I believe that me too one day I'll it has to do that there's this river the professor is supposed to cross, and the professor is somebody that don't like water at all, but because for the sake of that journey, the professor had to board the boat. And while the professor was on that journey in that boat, he started engaging the boat guy. He now asked the boat guy that, do you know about botany? Of course, the man is an illiterate. He said, no, sir. Again, do you know about biology? The man said no, because he has not gone to school. The professor said, oh, it's unfortunate. Weather condition that made the boat, to just almost sinking. And the boat driver now asked the professor, sir, do you know about swimnology? And professor said, what is swimnology? And the boatman said, sir, you see, it is not only you that have everything, that knows everything about knowledge. Sometimes it is good to know here and there. And at the end of the day, the professor have to swim out of the river. All right, we are going to have our brunch now, though it's supposed to be breakfast. We are supposed to start this, like I said earlier on before now. I want to crave your indulgence, please. We should just head to the back. We have a set of cups and also tea also there, so that we can just take this before we go straight for the lecture. I promise you in the next 10 minutes, we should be done. So I want to beckon on all of us. Please, let's just step to the back and let's have our brunch before we start the lecture program. Thank you very much. DJ and music. If you have people who attend to you, just please walk down and have your brunch. Thank you.
Because twice we got the check online.
And I hope you have all you dreamed of, and I wish you joy and happiness. But above all this, I wish you and
Thank you, DJ. All right. We shall continue with the program. At this point, I would like to invite Able Chairman for his opening remark. Please, can we please put hands together for our chairman? You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. I count it a great privilege, a great honor to stand before us this afternoon to give these remarks. Today is a momentous day in the life of this class. It's a significant day because this is the day we have looked forward to for a very long time. We are coming together to mingle, to dine and wine, and it's very profound in our lives. And what is more special about this occasion is that we have our great tutors, our great lecturers, those who molded us. We have in our midst our very erudite, very sagacious Professor Shea Liberty. He's a man that has taught us a lot. He taught us right from our first year up to our final year. Even when I went back for my MSc, I still encountered him. He scrutinized my MSc, he added value to it. In fact, he drew me closer to him, and I helped him to do a lot of things. So I'm grateful. I count it a great privilege. I'm sharing the same space with you today. I've been seeing you on Facebook, traveling all over the world, making impacts, contributing to humanity. And today we are sharing the same space. I'm very, very honored, sir. And I pray that you'll continue to do more to advance knowledge, to advance common humanity in your endeavor and your family. Our director, all the way from the University of Maiduguri, Director of Alumni Affairs, the name of Professor Musa Saleh, Mohamed Musa Saleh. It's a man.
I'm a coordinator, not director. He's the director.
Okay, coordinator, okay. Okay, he's the director of Linkages Partnership.
He's my boss.
Oh, wow.
That's my boss.
It's okay, sir. It's okay. Sorry. Error. I'm also a man of tremendous respect for, tremendous regards for. We have shared the same space for a very long time. I never knew one day I would meet him physically. We're in the same alumni association, Unimaid worldwide, and he has been posting so many useful and edifying things that have been uplifting us, that have been increasing our knowledge, and today we are privileged to have him in our midst.
And I'm very naughty.
The naughtiness is also teaching us a lot. We are learning a lot, so we appreciate that. I'm also here is the DG of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. He was also one of the vibrant lecturers in the Department of Political Science, a man of great repute academically and in every phase of life that he has engaged in. And today he's a Director General of an agency in Nigeria, in the person of Dr. Bulama, Mohamed Bulama. In fact, one notable thing is that our invitation got to him very late. I was in the office to submit the invitation yesterday in his office at the radio house. And when we got across to the PA, he said we should send the soft copy so that there will be expedited action on it. And today, even though he's not here physically, he has sent his SA. What else can we require? So we are very honored and grateful, sir, for appearing in this occasion. We pray that you extend our goodwill and our appreciation to your boss when you return. Thank you, sir, for coming. We also have here another academic giant in the person of Professor Abdul Hamid Ozohu Suleiman. He is currently my supervisor at the PhD level. In case of Abuja, I'm running my PhD now, and he has added a lot of value. He has enriched my life academically. I always say this everywhere. Unimaid made me and made all of us. We are excelling in our various spheres of life, various spheres of endeavors. We have in our midst some that have graduated with their PhD. We have title holders. Me today, I'm an assistant director in the public service. I work in an agency of the Federal Ministry of Government. Last month, I got my promotion to assistant director. We are excelling. I've never missed a single promotion because of the tutelage I received from Unimaid. And my supervisor is advancing it. And I'm grateful, sir, for all you have done for me, all you keep doing for me. Yesterday, called me Dr. Shaka. He went straight and said, Dr. Shaka. I was impressed with what we are doing here. I'm confident of. Again, we have in our midst, we are honored to have another very important personality who has been engaged in alumni affair, Hajawa Idi Jimeta. She was in the previous ESCO that got dissolved, and she has been involved. She told me a lot of things she has done to advance alumni activities over the years. And I believe when the next dispensation will come, when the election will come again, you will be returned, to advance it to another level. We are very confident of that, and that's why we are honored to have you in our midst today. So, sir, we as a class, we have been engaged in a lot of activities. In fact, later on, more will be unveiled. We have been engaged in welfare for ourselves. Some of our members are late. We have been trying to intervene to empower their families. And even today, we'll be appealing to our dignitaries that are here to help us in terms of monetary contribution so that we can reach out more to them. Because we see ourselves as a family. We see an injury to one is injury to all. So we take it seriously, and I think going forward we'll hear more from that. So without wasting our time, because we have eaten into our time a lot, I can't yet again. I've got a great privilege to stand in front of my leaders, my mentors, to speak today. And we, on behalf of all the members of this class, we welcome you to our midst, and we pray that you have a fruitful stay with us and improve us more in every area of life. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Please let's put hands together for our caretaker chairman, in the person of, let me also say Dr. Shaka. Please a round of applause for him, please. All right, before the presentation, I would like to call another important dignitary and guest to just give us his goodwill message. Permit me to also call on Professor Mohammed Musa Saleh, who happens to be the coordinator alumni affairs. Please just come and give us your goodwill message. Please a round of applause for him. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. My boss here, Professor Show Mustafa Liberty, has asked me to step in and give this goodwill message on behalf of the Vice Chancellor. It's a pleasure. I think this is my second year of attending this ceremony. Last year was equally exceptional. I really enjoyed it. But this year, we have a new Vice Chancellor, and he's just settling down. But he has asked me, on his behalf, to extend his goodwill to encourage you actually to keep on doing what you guys are doing, and that hopefully next year you will want to be here personally to witness the that will be the 21st anniversary. So I'm happy Dr. Shaka has said you guys intervene on behalf of each other. You look out for each other, and that's how it's supposed to be. Some of us are more privileged than others. Some of us are well endowed, you know, like Professor Show Mustafa Liberty here. His magnanimity is beyond compare. Okay, God has favored him, and he is plowing back to the society. You know, he's not keeping everything to himself, you know, and his family. Wherever it is, anything that has to do with empathy, charity, you'll always find him foremost in the forefront, trying to, you know, lead by example. So this is how it should be. Unimaid made us. We should be proud, you know, in fact, to plow back into University of Maiduguri. There are so many areas for intervention which we should explore. Not just doing for ourselves. Very soon, the Alumni Association will be going out, you know, to ginger or try to gather everyone under one roof, just to make sure that everything is well coordinated, and under the leadership of Professor Liberty, we hope to, you know, climb higher heights. It's a pleasure to be here once again, and on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, he's extending his goodwill, he's extending his good wishes, and that this is something we should keep doing. Please look at the university. Next year we'll be celebrating our 50th anniversary, the Golden Jubilee. These are areas, something that we look forward to and try and see how we can, you know, do something spectacular for the university. And our colleagues from abroad, I see Aisha from Italy, and where's the Texas lady? You know, all these guys in diaspora. We look forward to hearing from you, and I'm sure you'll hear more from Professor Liberty on Unimaid in the diaspora. So on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, please keep doing what you are doing. We are really proud of you. We wish you well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor, for giving us the good message on behalf of the Vice Chancellor. We really appreciate it. Yes, without wasting much of our time, we now move straight to our festival presentation for today, which will be given by Professor Abdullah Hamil Ohezo Suleiman. Abdul Hamid, Professor Hamid Ohezo Suleiman. Please, a round of applause for him, please. Sorry for
Can you
that.
project the paper? There's a PowerPoint. I submitted a PowerPoint.
Okay.
Do they have? Yes.
Do they have the facility for PowerPoint?
Yeah, we can make it.
Okay.
If it's online, I'll make that.
Yes, I think you have the
I have the paper. I'll share it. I don't know how I'll share it. I'll share
Share it to my WhatsApp.
you
Let me
can
just
project
drop.
No, send it to you.
Let me send it to you.
So that he's going to use it.
Yeah, it's going to project.
Yes.
Okay, while we wait for that, DJ just give us the background music so that we can work on the projection of this presentation.
Yes. They can display it. Yes. This PowerPoint. Yes.
So just send it to you.
Just send it to
He
you.
will use it.
And that's
Send it
Where are the hotel people now? Madam Sita, this thing is not working. It's on.
So let him send it to his system. He will now use this to
It's coming now. I don't know why it's standing out. After 10 seconds. Yes, it goes off by itself. I don't know, is it because it's not connected? Come on, back. It's coming up. Change the sauce.
Yeah, you should off it. So that we can watch.
This is what they would have done since.
Shaka.
Go.
I don't have it.
These are friends with
It's not even the gas. Yes. Go to the first slide. The first slide, please. First slide. First. The very first. Good. Yeah, stay there. So if you don't have this, you have to the next.
Yeah. Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies.
No problem.
I think the lecture slide is now projected, so we can start. It's my pleasure to be before you today to present a paper on a very topical issue that has dominated public conversations in Nigeria. Let me first recognize that I'm a giant in the midst of giants because I'm from Ahmad Bello University, Zaria. I recognize that Unimaid is a giant, but I am privileged to be in the midst of this giant, also as a giant. This paper was first presented before a distinguished audience at the National Defense College, comprising of senior military officers, the top echelon of the bureaucracy, and top political office holders. I thought it wise that I should cite my archives and then settle for a paper that I consider befitting of this kind of gathering. And the title of the paper is National Integration and the Development Problematics in Nigeria, a Perspective from the Ivory Tower. You will agree with me that over the period, especially at the onset of democracy in Nigeria, this topic, among others, has been in the front burner of national discourse. How do we put this great nation together and locate it on the trajectory of sustainable development? There has been a lot of opinion coming from wide-ranging sectors of the country, but I'm here today to present what I consider a perspective from the Ivory Tower. Next slide. Now, the outline of the paper is that we have a background, and then we look at conceptual issues, which I'm not going to bother you much about, because the concept we are reviewing here are familiar concepts that we all know about. Under that, we look at federalism, national integration, look at echoes of discordant notes. The national integration / national question. Is it a failure of elite consensus? Then we look at the primacy of a developmental state, which of course is the thesis of the paper. That is my position on this national discourse. Then we offer some conclusion. And Nigeria is unique in many sense of it. And this uniqueness came out forcefully in the year 2020. And there are two things to mention here. The year 2020 marked the beginning of the third decade of the democratization process. You recall that our democracy commenced in 1999. By year 2020, we had already completed 20 years of unbroken democracy. So we are well 4 years into the third decade. That makes it a very significant decade. Secondly, and 60 years in the life of a man is very significant to call for celebration. By this very outstanding record of our unbroken democracy, Nigeria became one of the about 25, federal states scattered around the world that have achieved this feat. And these federal states represent 40% of the global population. Move. Next slide. It's also instructive to know that these federal states are located in 4 continents: India in Asia, the United States in North America, Brazil in South America, and Nigeria in Africa. And all democracies are big and complex. However, in Nigeria, after 6 years of nation building, the conversation on what we should settle for as a nation is still lingering. Although she represents one of the several examples of post-transition states in the Global South, Nigeria's uniqueness lies in the historical circumstance of her federation, which have generated more controversy than others of its kind. Good. Move. We will outline this controversy very briefly here. First, in the midst of these controversies, Nigeria has been variously described by public affairs commentators. I'm sure you are familiar with that, phrase in the literature. Some look at it as a system of forced brotherhood and sisterhood. And some, again, look at it as a marriage of convenience between disparate ethnic groups. But the good news about Nigeria, again, is that the same country has been variously described positively. First, we call it the giant of Africa, is that not? Yes, sir. And the most populous black nation, and the continental powerhouse. So when you juxtapose this sobriquet, for and against, you will know that Nigeria merits attention globally. Next. So there is no period other than now. There is no environment other than the environment. How has Nigeria secured this global attention in terms of the discussion about its problems? And then we are going to be talking about this by looking at some of the characteristics first. But in order not to waste your time, Nigeria is a very perfect example of a federation comprising of 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, comprising of over 250 tribes and over 300, over 250 have defined it. Shaka and his colleague may have come across it. There is none of you here among those who are celebrating today that will tell me you've not heard about where 1963. He's the father of federalism globally. And then God also has blessed Nigeria with another father, a continental father of federalism, in the person of Awa. We've reflected on their opinion here. Next slide. Next slide. We have other scholars too. All these are, definition in the literature about what constitutes so it highlights a consensus, and that consensus means that a federation comprises of regional government and the center. In the case of Nigeria, the federal, state, and local government. We have about 25 of it in the world, representing about 40% of global population. And all of these federations are constitutional democracy, complex and big. Move. Next. These are still definitions. Maybe they will be useful to the extent that the likes of Shaka, who are still into research, will keep them as part of their archives, literature archive. Yes, move. Let's look at this second slide. Classical federation. No, go back. Classical federalism assumes that both the center and the regional jurisdiction allow for coordination and intergovernmental relations. That is the case with Nigeria. Or that should be the case with Nigeria. But if it is not actually the case, it is because we have some peculiar issues which constitute part of the problematics of our federation, and has also stand on the way of Nigeria to securing sustainable development. Next slide. Now, we've talked about federation. What about national integration? Because these are the key words in the topic we are discussing tonight, bringing things together. Especially, it is even more relevant to, subnational states who have decided to come together. The major task for them to handle is to have to keep the center together so that things do not fall apart. National integration has been considered from static and dynamic point of view. For example, from the static point of view, national integration is considered as a state of affairs, that is the trajectory that Nigeria as a federation is supposed to be following now. That we are in the process of getting to that point where the subnational entities will collapse into one, and then we can now call ourselves one. Just like the United States. Another complex federation comprising of 52 states, with a population of over 300 million people. Move. The dynamic view, on the other hand, sees integration as a process whereby discrimination along national borders are progressively removed between two or more boundaries. This time around, the kind of national integration we're interrogating their boundaries and the geographical of national entities. In other words, our federation is such that whichever state you come from, we should take pride in identifying. Next slide. At the level of national politics, the notion of national integration is concerned with the problem of nation building. So we're going to go beyond the mere idea of cohesion between the center and the periphery of a political system and subnationality. And you agree with me that even as we speak, we have tension between the federal government and the subnational states. Just a couple of weeks ago, if not less than, there was an executive, so a number of states are dissenting that they do not agree with the nuances and objective of that, tax reform. That it should be suspended. That is part of the tension that characterized, a federation. Then, having, refreshed our mind on these basic concepts that are central to, the Nigerian Federation, we will look at how has leaders of thoughts, opinion molders, regional champion, how has their utterances made use of discordant notes? Like, a professor of political science said, a federation is characterized by intense politics. And that politics can simply be defined as what some people want is negated by what others want, and what eventually emerge is what nobody wants. So now let's look at this echo. Leaders and opinion molders in the four geopolitical formations in Nigeria, north, southwest, southeast, and south-south, have each voiced out Nigeria of their aspiration. I don't know whether it's a bad news or good news that leaders of these various regions, they have their own idea, they have their own conception of what should constitute Nigeria. Move. Next. Now let's look at one of the very notable has this to say, and I quote, "I think the critical components of a federation are the federating units." We agree with that. But sadly, here in Nigeria, the situation differs. Almost everything is handled by the federal government. A system of administration that permits such practices as quota system, educationally disadvantaged people, federal character, will not enhance the growth and even development of the country, since such systems lack fairness, equity, and justice. This is opinion. That some of the policy that the federal government has pursued over the period is discriminatory, providing opportunity for the weak to run faster and those who are strong to slow down. And as far as Chekwa Sokore is concerned, this is not fair enough. If you start the race early, you should be allowed to get to the touchline on time, not to wait for those who are behind. In the Southwest, for example, the spokesman of Afenifere socio-political group, Yinka Odumake of blessed memory, also went out the misgiving of his region over time. He chided. The country is breaking into pieces. Virtually, as we were talking, we are saying, let us come together. Let's buy back the confidence of everybody by restoring up support for a return to regional arrangement that we left since 1963. And that is what, Odumaki is talking about. And there are insinuations, even currently, that some of the policies of the federal government is suggesting that someday we might wake up, to see an executive bill asking that a constitutional review be undertaken to return us back to, the regional system. Well, some have given vent to this argument by drawing attention to the return to the old national item. Move to the next. Still on Southwest, the region observed that creativity, development, and health rivalry were noticeable during regional self-government before military political engineering fostered unitary federal structure on the constituent unit. But the fact remains that secessionist threats from various sections, right from 19, might have made it compelling for military government to promote unity and integrity, but for return to regionalism. But some of the measures that the government has taken, having experienced a civil war that lasted for 30 bloody years, is to ensure that measures are taken for even development, for equity, and to carry everybody along. Move. Let's go to another one. Chief Anab. They have also given their various reasons, for that. Let me at this juncture share, an experience with you as a scholar. A couple of years back, I was invited by the Department of Political Science to examine a PhD candidate who wrote on resource control. And after carefully listening to his presentation, it was time for me to examine the candidate. I took him up on one issue. I said, please, can you go further to tell us about what you mean by internal colonialism? I said, I do not claim to have monopoly of knowledge, but what do you mean by, in other words, tell me the proponents of internal colonialism as a theory that underpins your study. He couldn't. I said, okay, fine, that's okay. Let's go further on this, your theory of internal colonialism, to establish whether it's even relevant to the study you are doing. First, who colonized who? The impression you are giving is that the rest of Nigeria had colonized the South-South. Is that not? Who had enabled this colonialism, if it were possible at all? And what role has your governors and leaders in the South-South played in this internal colonialism? These questions sparked up debates in the defense that lasted for more than 1 hour. I was asked to moderate and to bring the debate to a rest. I said, okay, young man, I can understand the passion and enthusiasm with which you are trying to identify with the region where you come from. But one, this theory does not apply because it doesn't exist. Secondly, assuming it exists does not apply because you have not expounded on those that has enabled that colonialism. 3, colonialism as a thesis to demand for resource control cannot stand, it can't fly, because the federal government had embarked on programmatic and institutional intervention to improve the lots of the region where the oil is coming from. Remember UNPADEC, NDDC, Amnesty. These are institutional and programmatic intervention to ensure that the goose that lays the golden eggs, takes the larger part of the dividends. So you need to go back and interrogate this. So why I'm sharing this experience with us is that even in academics, some are becoming very sentimental without looking at the practical issues on the ground. To cut the story short, the young man went back. Before he said, Prof, please give him an alternative theory to anchor the story. I said, go for public choice theory. 3 years later, he came to me and knelt down and said, look, you have made my day. Then he went back to the University of Port Harcourt and met a professor who told me, go and meet that professor who gave you that theory that he's your intellectual mentor. He has saved you from embarrassment. So move. Ango Abdullahi, the spokesman from the north, was blunt in explaining the reason for agitation from other sections of the country. According to him, I quote, there is nothing sacrosanct about the unity of Nigeria as one indivisible entity. Nigeria is Lugard's creation. We sat down and decided that we wanted to live together, even after the amalgamation. The agitators have not hidden the fact that the North is responsible for so-called imbalance in the country. Some of them have even gone ahead to ridicule the extent of saying that the real cause of the imbalance is the Hausa Fulani, ethnic stock. Of course, each regional spokesperson is at liberty to express his sentiment, and this is the sentiment of Ango Abdullahi. Because sometimes, when this issue of resource control and imbalance come into the public space for discussion, there is a tendency for those who are sympathetic to this resource control to look at here. Next slide. Eme Awa, the father of federalism in Nigeria, studied these various, discordant notes, and then submitted that every unit wants to derive adequate economic benefit from the economic system of, the federation. A unit which feels deprived of reasonable economic benefit, or for some reason develop fear for the safety of lives and property of its members, may want to opt out of a federation. And it is for that reason that we have a section of the country today that has chosen to opt out without success. Next slide. Now let's look at national integration and the national question. Now the pursuit of national integration gave rise to the vexed issue of national question. There are two different concepts. National integration is the pursuit of cohesion through nation building. The national question is that there are nagging issues concerning marginalization, concerning resource control that has not been addressed. And the question we ask here is that the failure to address this national question, is it a failure of elite consensus? And in the course of this lecture, we will, you will agree with me that it is likely a failure of the elite consensus. Although a derivative of the political preoccupation to problematize the Nigerian Federation. So to problematize our federation, in other words, to look at the problems we have as a nation, you must be. That question captures the agitation by the various ethnic nationalities for the renegotiation of the basis of Nigerian nation in a way that protects their interests and rights as equal citizens. Recall that, in the beginning when we were doing conceptual clarification, we talked about a sentiment expressed earlier, negatively though, that Nigeria is a product of forced brotherhood and sisterhood, or it's a marriage of convenience. When you effect a marriage of convenience between strange bedfellows, a man and a woman who are strange bedfellows, the fact remains is that this is the way, we're trying to look at the national question here. And in order to argue that the national question, until they are addressed, we might have a long time to contend with the issues we have at hand. Next. In another perspective, national question is seen as the perennial debates as to how to order the relation between the in order that no segment of this country will feel cheated. Next. Now, this is my position here. That the empirical nexus between the national question and nation building is fluid. When you say something is fluid, that means it's always changing. It's not static. And therefore, not peculiar to federal society. In other words, a country does not have to be a federation before you can address the issue of national question. There are homogeneous countries in this world where the national question also come out forcefully into the public space for debate. To the extent of this fluidity, the national question is not only a reflection of the challenges associated with effort to collapse a plural society into a nation state for political stability and viability, but also a mechanism to interrogate progress. So we are moving from the realm of politics now to the realm of practical issue that has to do with progress and development. That we should not look at the national question only as the issue concerning how we can relate well, but it should be more about how we can foster progress and development in our country. So irrespective of the level of social cohesion, the national question has to do with the capability of state to furnish the essential requirement of citizens. I have put this argument because while the elite is shifted to addressing the issue of corruption, I think Nigeria will be better than we are today. Unfortunately, all those regional champions, without any exception, that are drumming support for their regions and casting the national question in rebellion, are also soaked and immersed in official malfeasance and corruption, which is the singular enemy to national progress in Nigeria. If God sends an angel to earth to help us recover what has been stolen from us, our economy will be competing with that of the United States.
Wow.
So then why leave that germane issue and then you are discussing the national question in various ways to confuse regional constituents? We observe that from the time state action against official graft became part of the governance project, cases under investigation and provision have shown that the phenomenon of corruption is not sensitive to socio-cultural diversity. Is it?
No, sir.
Is corruption sensitive to socio-cultural diversity?
No.
Are you saying that, well, that Professor Liberty is a Kanuri man, I'm an Ibira man from Kogi State, you understand? That when we meet to share common interest, we have a common interest. The day Nigerians will wake up to realize that various ethnic groups in the corridors of power are fighting in terms of where they come from, that day we are going to have relief. But they won't ever fight when it comes to sharing state resources. It is the rest of us that fight. We fight in our organization because this person is from the other side and from this side. We fight on the street, we fight in political rallies, we fight in conferences, but they don't fight in the corridors of power. Rather, what is evident is a political environment where the governing elite reigns supreme by manipulating the national question to provoke disaffection among citizens in order to forestall the possibility of a social movement that is capable of dislodging their hegemony. Can we ever get to that point where we can, foster a national movement, a social movement? We came close to that during the End Bad Governance, but you also know what the government did in response. Even during the protest, there were government-sponsored protesters who said, there is nothing wrong, Nigeria is fine, nobody is hungry. Because they have to also fight back. Next slide. Crippling poverty, economic backwardness, perennial social turmoil in the midst of vast human and material resources in Nigeria is in terms of leadership failure, administrative ineptitude, etc. Leadership failure is a gross violation of the Constitution. Yes, when leadership fails, it has not kept faith with the provisions of the Constitution. We should accept it like that. The conventional treatment of national question places more emphasis on constitutional deficit while ignoring the defect of the governing elite. Again, today we're asking them for restructuring. There is endless constitutional amendment in the National Assembly. Looking at the defects in our constitutional provision, as if to say there is any country in this world that has a perfect constitution. Even the United States of America does not have a perfect constitution, but yet it's a prosperous nation. And that prosperity is as a result of the leadership that has been offered by their people. So as opposed to concentrating ourselves on constitutional deficit, why can't we look at the deficits among our governing elites? Deficit in terms of corruption, deficit in terms of promoting their enlightened self-interest at the detriment of others, deficit in terms of their gross insensitivity to the plight of Nigerian citizens. The social contract between the state and citizens on the governing elite to secure the socio-economic rights of citizens. If you go to provisions of that section, you discover that it is a matter of life. Last diet, you live in a decent environment, you live in a decent house, you ride a modest car, you have a paid employment, you're able to take your children to school. That is how we aggregate decent life. That is the right that has been given to all of us by the Constitution. But the bad news is that those rights are not justiciable in the court of law. If you are poor and you cannot send your child to school, you can't take government to court. But yet the Constitution recognizes it as right. And rather than focusing on that, our leaders are debating national integration, national question, resource control, and the rest of them. And they are looking at defects in the Constitution rather than applauding these positives that we still have in the Constitution. Next. That's why we say the preoccupation of government is on the contentious issue of devolution of power, review of fiscal federalism, state creation, rotational presidency, power shift. The emphasis on this issue gives the impression that their resolution through constitutional amendment makes socio-economic rights a fait accompli. That once these constitutional defects are amended, Nigeria will automatically become a progressive country. But what happened to corruption? How can the Constitution address the greed of our governing elite? That is what we should be asking. The skill treatment of national question has assumed a national consciousness to the neglect of more fundamental issue of good governance and inclusive development. It is the contention of this writer that an assessment of the prospect of developmental state in Nigeria should be preceded by deconstructing this national consciousness.
that have really, opened our eyes, especially for me personally. So I don't know if we have questions Prof is here to answer, or we have our own views, because sometimes opinion, you will all see how to, integrate it. I can see somebody is raising up her hand, so I'm going to hand over the mic to her. Okay, thank you. Please just tell us your name.
Good morning to you all. I'm Hajarat Abdul Hamid. Well, I have just one or two things to say on the lectures by Professor Abdul Hamid on development. Corruption. Number one, the most important variable to look at is corruption. After corruption, we should put into consideration if two people went to look for a job, you will see that the other person has all the qualities and qualification for the job, while the other person doesn't have. But because of that complement card syndrome, his relative will just mean it on at the back of the complement card. Please assist this Biara. He's my cousin. Before you know, he will get that appointment, leaving the person that has all the qualifications and quality. And another syndrome is Nemuism syndrome and Negidaism syndrome. All these syndromes deter our development because they will say, Namu Negidani, Namuism or Negidaism, Negidani, Kubashi Aiki, which is deterring the development in Nigeria. So we are always moving in a vicious cycle because we cannot get out from that stealing of the vicious cycle unless we take care of this corruption issue and this complement card syndrome and what have you. We have to seriously look at all those variables. Thank you.
Thank you, Anja. Please let's appreciate her. Thank you. Yes, Anja has thrown light on federal character system, and like you said, the trend Namuism, I think Nagidaism and the rest. This just reminded me about the past administration. During the past administration, President Muhammadu Buhari, most of his appointments were from the north, and people were saying, some people were complaining and all that. Now, Baba is on seat and he has done his own appointment, and they are also from his own place. Whether the person is fit or not, but just because of that familiarity and that person is from my place, and we are not getting it right. So this must certainly stop. We must actually give the right person and the right people the chance to do the work. So we are going to give Ajia his time to also say something.
Sorry, I'll sit. I don't like to stand there. Prof, sir, thank you for this wonderful presentation. Should be looked from the grassroots, from homes. Corruption starts from homes, not just when you grow up and become a government citizen. Because if you have a good upbringing, I say it anywhere I go when I'm given the chance to talk, that it starts from home, from parents, especially we women. We play a lot of roles in the lives of our children, and then they grow up with it. You have 2 children, you understand? They bring what they did not provide, and you with it. That is, they grow with it. That's corruption. You have a beautiful daughter, and then a young guy comes, full of potential, because he's trekking, you prefer your daughter to go to a politician that has money. So it starts from there, sir. And then she will now grow with that mentality, and anywhere she goes, she will be looking at things in that direction. So that kind of person, when she gets to government appointment, she practices the same thing, considering an advantage, monetary advantage over potential advantage of how you can develop the nation. So next time, propose capture from homes,
you know, especially broken homes.
Please.
And it's just to add a little flesh to what she has established, but my own from a different perspective. And my perspective is this: my own is about the family. Home it's very, very, very important. I'm using myself as an example. I'll be 48 years soon, like in a month or two. And my mom died recently. Until she died, every time I bought a new car or a new stuff, she would ask me how I made the money. And by the grace of God, I was a commissioner twice in Kogi. And it's been like 2 years plus I left office. EFCC has never called me once. And I've been there twice this year to bail 2 of my friends. So one incident happened. The last time I went there, they were now checking my profile when I was filling the bail form. And they now told the guy in Hausa, because I was dressed like this, they didn't know in Hausa, Northern Horse. They now say, Basume Shiatiki. And now say, Sede Kusaka, I'm a buyer. There's money there to steal, it's not a lie. And you know, government back was created, I'm saying this to Prof, so that I can add it to your book. You know, all politicians are thieves. And a politician cannot steal a dime without his directors or the permanent secretary or the staffs. So why is politician the thief? And government is structured in a way that the political appointee is, yet the politician is called the thief. This is for Prof especially. You need to add it to your book so that people understand that this stealing back is an orchestration and a collaboration from different people, either you're a politician or not. But every time we talk in Nigeria, they say politician is this and that. That's not true, honestly. And before you can move a dime as a commissioner in your ministry, but you have more than 6, 10 or more people agreeing to that corruption because you all have to sign. This file is moved from point A to B up to Z sometimes before a dime can be moved. So for people like me, who are afraid of what my children will do when they see me on TV in court, or what my mother will do, because she probably died if she sees me on TV that I stole. So I went with that idea in my mind to be careful. So I'm supporting her own opinion about us taking care of corruption from home. And I'm also appealing to our professor here to add in his book that it's not only politicians that steal, and before a politician can steal, he must be aided by the directors and other people who are in his ministries. Thank you very much. I hope I made sense.
I need to respond.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Please, can I sit down?
Yes,
sir. Thank you. I need to respond, because it's very important. It's very germane to do so. Hajia said I should review my paper to include psychology of child upbringing. I'm not a professor of psychology. You understand? And the Honorable Commissioner is asking me to write a book.
No,
you understand? Add it to the book. More like to review it again, to underscore the point that not all politicians are thieves. But I think I want to differ very significantly. First with Hajia. Hajia, quite a number of these thieving politicians have very wonderful upbringing. Go and check. They have very wonderful. Sometimes when we sit down in seminar, we say, is there any spirit in the corridors of power? Even some of my colleagues, I'm not too sure if Shehu Liberty recommends me to the federal government to become whatever, I'm not sure that I will be the same Hamid. I'm not sure. I hope I do. So we now began to suspect if there is a spirit in the corridors of power that changes people, but there is none, I can tell you. So people have very wonderful upbringing, but they choose to depart from it because of the filthy locale of power. I don't know what it does to them. So I think far from it, just disengage upbringing from it. Well, we know those who have been thieves. They are children of thieves. They are grandchildren of thieves. When they get into government, they are thieves. Unfortunately, our political space encourages such characters to get into the corridors of power because of the dirty things they do to get there. You understand? So I think, I don't know, there was a time something happened. I can't remember. Even if I remember, I would hold it. When a cleric, a Muslim cleric said, look, we know those who do not want this country to rest. Let us organize prayers and fasting. Members of the council say, no, don't. Because God answers prayers. and heads can roll. Maybe we can go spiritual. Then to the Honorable Commissioner, I disagree with you even more vehemently. Because when good people accept government responsibility, and while in government they see what is happening that is not normal and the people are suffering, when they remain in that position, they are not only accomplices, they have given legitimacy to what is wrong.